All right, we're going to start combining scales and chords and note reading, and we're going to do our first analysis of the harmonies in a piece of music. So this is a song that I wrote a number of years ago. I'm going to play it for you right now. It's pretty short. It's a funny song. It's ironic. It's about kids being told they have to share. It's called The Candy.
My mommy said that I should share, so I'll most carefully go to my room and lock the door and eat these quietly.
Okay, so that's about a kid who doesn't want to share. And by the way, developmentally, that's still good because they have learned that they should share. And if they go to the room and try and do it covertly, it's clear. It's not the behavior you want, but it's clear behavior that they understand what's right and wrong, which is, it's a good step in the right direction. All right. So what's going on here in this piece of music? Well, I'm going to assist you, and then you're going to do some work. When you write a song, there's a melody, and there's usually chords or harmonies that go with them. And we want to start seeing if we can tell what the harmonies are. That's tricky if they don't have chord symbols above, like they do in pop music or sheet music or lead sheets and things like that. We want to be able to look at this and figure that out. Now, there's big game stuff going on, like what scale am I using and knowing patterns that chords like to have, and we will get to that, and that will make this a lot easier. But to begin with, we're just going to dive in and look at the notes and see if we can figure out what the chords are. I'm going to help you know where that is. So print this out, refer to what we're going to do here and mark it up in the same way. Okay, I'm going to put some boxes or circles around areas, okay, and you're going to do the same thing, and then we're going to look at the notes in those areas for chords, right? You can say, well, how do you know which ones? Part of it's experience, part of it I know what I'm looking for here, and you will gain that experience too, but so we don't get lost, we'll start right here. So we're going to look there, and we're going to look here, like that, and we're going to look there, like that, and then we're going to look here, like, I think we're going to do the same thing where we look here like this and here like this. Now we will go do the rest, but let's just start by looking at these things here. When you go looking at music, you should use your ears a lot. And so this recording will be up there and you should be able to hear it and listen to it enough times till you feel like you know how the piece goes. There's no substitute for that. But because this is a video demonstration, I'm going to take you through this first, knowing that you should listen to this again and again. Okay? The most common or simplest texture when you write a song is to have the chord in the lower part or in the accompaniment part, and all of the notes of the chord or most of the notes of the chord are there. If you think about grabbing a guitar or an ukulele and you're strumming chords and singing over top of it, that's exactly what you're doing, except instead of arpeggiating these notes one at a time like we have here on the piano, we're just strumming them all like stacked up together at the same time. And that's the way this piece of music has been written. Now, in a more complex texture or in a different kind of writing style, not all the notes will be perfectly stacked up there, and there can be non-chord tones in there or just not enough tones, and so we need experience to know what's going on. But in this case, and for our purposes, I chose this, it's pretty simple. We're going to look at the notes in the left hand here, and then guess what chord we have here from how it's spelled, and then we'll look at the top and see if that confirms as well or changes any of our information. Here we have an A and an E. We're going to leave that alone for a minute right now. Let's just start right here. You got to be able to spell your notes. I'm going to do this with you. That's a D. This is a low D. That's an A. That's a D. That's an F. And that's an A. Another D and an A and another D. Okay. By the way, we have one flat, B flat, but it doesn't affect any of these notes. And so hopefully you've looked at this and said, aha, I have a D, F, A, no sharps or flats. This is D minor. So I'm just going to write D minor right there, just like that. Okay. All right, let's take a look at this next one right here. I've got an E, and I've got a G, and I've got a C. See how important it is to read bass clef, right? And EGB, nope. GBD, nope. CEG, absolutely. Again, there's no sharps or flats in the first part of the measure affecting these notes. There's no sharp or flat in the key signature, so it's just plain C, E, and G. So that's a C major chord. Now, if you really want to, you can write major here, but by default, if you don't write anything else, and you just put like an uppercase C there, it means major. So you don't have to write major if you don't want to. All right? I'm going to give you a minute to do this one. I'll start writing in the note names, but see if you can figure it out as quickly or as fast as I'm doing it. So there's a bunch of F's right there. What do you think? Does the key signature matter? It does not. This is an F chord, and FAC is major, so I don't need to write anything else there. How about right here? Well, we have an A, and we have a D, and we have an A. And we don't know what that is because that's not enough notes. Is it DFA? Might be. How could we tell? Same thing here. We have an A and an E, and that's not enough to spell an entire chord. So how do you know? Well, what's implied is enough to tell you that. So let me explain. In my family, from the time our kids were very young, we would sing a song as we pulled in the driveway from long trips or anything to the little kids in the booster seats in the back, and my wife would go, home again, jiggity jog. And then it started to develop into a habit where somebody would go, home again, and then somebody would have to come up with something that rhymed with jiggity jog, like dance with a hog, right? And then home again, sleep on a log, and we play these pun games. Pretty soon, it evolved into everybody in the family being able to just give a word or two and have everybody else in the family understand what was happening next, right? So I could just go home again, and everybody else knew that we were talking about jiggity jog. So I could say like, hey, after supper, going to the track, anybody want to come again, home again? And they'd go, oh, we're going jogging, kind of thing. It's implied. Frozen, the movie, made fun of that in Love Is Open Door when it's like, you know, somebody who will finish your, and the other guy goes, sandwiches. And he says, that's the thing I was going to say, as opposed to words. It's the same here, though. With the information we have, with some experience, you'll go like, oh, it's this chord or that chord, even though the entirety of the chord is not there. If you want a more scientific way of thinking about this, paleontologists very rarely find complete or even mostly complete dinosaur skeletons. They find bits and pieces of them, and then they're able to look at the shape of the bone, the length of the bone, and they can go, this matches this species. And they can even say, given the length of this bone, we know that this dinosaur was this big, etc. They don't have complete knowledge, but they can fill it in. Okay, so pickup measures don't count, but this is going to tie back to what we were talking about, minor and major scales. See this, 1 flat, B flat? You should be thinking, I think we're in the key of F major. F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F. But if you've done your worksheet, you also know that we could be in the key of D minor. Just like that. And suspiciously, we start on a D minor chord. And if we check the very end of the piece as well, last measure, D, D, A, D, F, A, D, D. It looks like a D minor chord here as well. And a piece that starts on D minor and ends on D minor is probably in D minor, not F major. Okay, so given that, with some experience then, it makes sense that this D and an A, even without the F, is probably another D minor chord. It's what key we're in. It's what frames the you know, the beginnings and ends of phrases and things like that. So I'm going to bet that. Okay. And you probably heard me talk about this a little bit, but we're going to talk about it more and more. There are certain chords that are more important than in one key or another, or sorry, in a key. So the one chord, the chord that's home, the chord built on the first degree of the scale, is the most important. And the second most important one is the 5 chord, or the chord built on the 5th scale degree, because that's the one that sort of binds up everything and pushes you back to the one chord at the end of a phrase. Okay, so if I'm looking at my scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? A, that's my 5, and that's what's going on here. Even though I don't have the middle note, the C, it's okay, right? This is A, right there. Now, is it A major or A minor? It's A major, and we'll explain why, even though it's not on the scale, a little bit later. But that's what you're going to do. You're going to go and look at all these notes and say, well, what chord is it? And write it up here. Don't forget, if it's got a B in it, it's going to be B flat, right? Don't forget down here, there's a C sharp, so you change the way this chord is spelled right here. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through here and I'm going to circle where you'll find chords, right? So I think that this whole thing right to here is a chord. So you'll need to look at those notes. This one right here is a chord, and that's a chord. Notice that there's a pattern here where it seems like there's 3 beats of a chord and then 1 beat of a chord and such like that. Music tends to like to have patterns, regularity that repeats. Not always going to be perfectly the same, and actually having 3 beat and 1 beat is more rare than 2 beats and 2 beats. But, you know, once you get started with an idea, it likes consistency with itself, and then sometimes it likes to break that idea up. All right, so I think we're doing the same thing here. All right, and right there. And let me give you a clue on this. This is a chord with a 7th on it. So you're going to get 3 of 4 notes, because there's only 3 there, and one of the notes is the 7th of the chord. Okay, here's another chord right there, and here at the end it is per 2 beats there as well, and then D. So your job for the weekend is to figure out what these notes make for a chord, those notes make for a chord, etc., etc., and then write them up just like we've done there. Okay, I will put up an answer key on Sunday night, but you should do your work without it. You should also listen to the recording a bunch of times so that you can start to hear things. It's not enough to just say, well, I know how to spell my chords and read my notes. You got to use your ears. It's absolutely impossible to do good analysis of anything that starts to become semi-complex without using your ears and saying, what am I hearing? What sounds like it's home? What sounds like it's away? That kind of stuff. Okay. Cool. By the way, this is in the key of D minor, not F major. We talked about that because it begins and ends on D, right? All right. Have fun with it.